Hello, this is Jeremy White. I am currently in Vietnam. Myself and Dimitri just got done leading a worship service where we saw a handful of people receive Jesus for the very first time. Super exciting, as well as some people healed and delivered, which was super amazing, right? Just this kind of stuff that Jesus did in the natural, right, on a regular basis. And as Dimitri was speaking and I was praying, I felt like the Holy Spirit really had something for me to share for people back in America. You know, something that I think about, and I know I hear a lot often, is how come we just don't see people doing things in the church? How come we see people stagnating? And you see this a lot where many believers in the church, they begin to become almost numb to the truth of the gospel and the impact and the power that it has. Not just the miraculous things, but even just the power of the gospel of salvation working in someone's life to see them constantly redeemed. And as I was thinking about it as we were here, something that came to mind from the Holy Spirit is that a lot of times people aren't going out and actually using the gospel. And so what happens is when you're in a culture that is heavily exposed to at least gospel type themes, and you are around people that are morally good or seem good at least on the surface, it becomes very easy to begin to question whether the gospel actually has any power, because you aren't used to being around people who really need the gospel. You know, Jesus said that he didn't come for those that were well, but for those that were sick, the people that really needed the gospel, right? The people that knew that they had a need and came forward and asked for it. And so as we're here in Vietnam, just as I've experienced in many other places, you see people who are hungry for God and hungry for His works and hungry for salvation, that even as the salvation message is preached, they come forward because they want to, even though it's embarrassing, even though it's uncomfortable, because they want the power of Christ in their life. And so for us, this is a call to those that are believers, those that maybe haven't experienced the power of God frequently or are wondering and questioning why they don't see these things happen more often. And this is a call for you and I to get up and go minister the gospel wherever it is that God might lead us. But I would call you to foreign missions. I would call you to local missions. You know, I have a great friend, his name is Robbie, and he's recently in the last few months that is, started feeding people. He just started a garden, and by God's grace, these things are growing, and he's taking and he's sharing these with people who are in need. And you can see the power of God working in his own life mightily and miraculously, and how his faith has grown. But then not only that, he's being used, right? And there's a principle here. If we don't use that which we've been given, we lose it. And this is a biblical principle. It's just like the story of the talents. The man who buries the talent in the ground, the master comes back and says, "What were you doing?" And he said, "Well, I know you're a hard man, and that you reap where you don't sow. And so I hid it, and I did nothing with it." And he says, "Away from me." And so there's many believers that this word is for you, that you need to get out and use the gospel. Otherwise it will lose its power in your own life. And you'll even begin to question whether God is real or whether He is active. And I'm telling you, He's real, He is active. The gospel of salvation is important, it's powerful, it changes lives for eternity. And there is power in the word of Christ. And we are seeing that happen and manifest right now. So I call to you, if you're sitting on the couch, if you're sitting on the couch that is of your religion, maybe without any actual power, get out and use it. And maybe you can't come to Vietnam right now, but there is something you can do. Find people that need it. Use it. Speak the truth. Be bold, and you will see Christ rise up in power, not only in the lives of others, but in your own life as well. Be blessed.